There is one thing that I don't like about e-mountain bikes that can be a massive pain in the arse. It can make a bike go from feeling like $1 million to a bag of nails, and that is the speed cutoff. At 15.5 miles per hour in the UK, silence, zero assist. As much as some motor manufacturers like to tell you how well their motor disengages and pedals nicely above the limit, I'm yet to really feel that. And it can make a bike go from feeling super zippy just to feeling just a bit bloated, and actually feel like pedaling hard above that limit makes little to no difference. And that can be a problem for me, as I like riding downhill, and a lot of that can be over that 15.5 mile per hour limit. But in step the lightweight e-mountain bike, the lack of power and torque means they don't zip up to speed quite as well. But at 16 miles per hour and upwards, is that where they really shine? And if I pedal hard, can I gain some noticeable speed? If you've looked at any web pages for lightweight e-mountain bikes, you might recognise buzzwords and sayings like "it's you but faster" or "tailwind technology" or "the most natural feeling e-mountain bikes," which I think I actually agree with all those things. They do feel like that. So this is my Canyon Neuron On Fly, carbon fibre frame, full 29er with 140mm of travel. It's got industry 9 wheels and super fast Schwalbe Wicked Wheel trail tyres. The Bosch SX motor with its 60 Nm of torque, 600 watts of peak power, and quite a small 400 watt-hour internal battery keep the whole weight of this bike under 20 kilograms. And I'm going to go back to back with the lightweight bike and the full power bike in a couple of different scenarios to see how much that speed limit matters. Full power bike is my new white Kato Works, a very special edition bike, and it's Bosch CX Gen 5 motors. So they've got the big power and torque numbers now, 100 Newton meters and 750 watts of peak power, and also the range from that 800 watt hour, so double the size of the battery. Is more travel as well. It's 150 rear, 174 full 29er, but all that extra range and power comes with a bit of a weight penalty. This bike weighs in at 23 kilograms. Before I head to the trail, I thought it might be quite a good idea to do a drag race. So down this fire road, both bikes head to head. I'll be almost straight away above the speed limit. I'll pedal as hard as I can and see what difference, if any, that makes by the time I get to the end. Well, even that's quite interesting. So the lightweight bike was faster by a decent chunk. I'm surprised how quick I got from there to here. 10.96 full power, 10.33 on the lightweight bike, so 0.6 of a second faster over just almost 11 seconds on the lightweight bike. And I guess whilst I would have expected the lightweight bike to feel a bit slower off the mark, it didn't feel like that at all. And actually it looks like it was reasonably in line with the full power bike, and then I built speed continually because I actually maxed out at 48 kilometers an hour on this bike, whereas I was 44 kilometers an hour max on the full power bike. But now I want to take that to the trail to see what difference it makes in the real world. Right, now to the trail, I'm doing some back-to-back times, racing against myself, a bit ghost style on Mario Kart. Interesting, I'm going on the full power bike first, and it's kind of a good trail for it. This first part is sort of along the top of the hill, where it's going to be a lot below that speed cutoff, and then it tips down the hill. So I'm using my Garmin Edge eMTB, using that 5 Hz recording mode on the downhill entry mode, so super accurate time recording. And I'm going to set some gates as well, so it's going to give me split time. So I'll do it in 2 sections, top to middle and then middle to bottom, where it gets faster down there. So I'll be able to compare where and what is going on with the times. And yeah, I'll start off on the full power bike and lay down a run and see if I can beat that on the lighter bike. Right, back to top for run 2 on the lightweight bike, and in general it's quite a quick trail, but there are corners, particularly at the top, where you've got little squirts of power coming out. And even on the full power bike, it doesn't feel like you're getting a massive burst because you're already up to, 10, 12 miles an hour. It's not like you're getting that real good rush of sort of low grunt speed. So I think it's really interesting. Obviously, we're comparing 2 different bikes as well, so we'll have to think about that when it comes to results. But when I'm riding now, I'm gonna try and think about how much assist I'm getting and also how much I'm pedaling over the limit and see what the results tell me. All right, run 2 done. Obviously, like I said before, 2 different bikes. I felt the difference in tyres. I felt like I was on the edge of the tyres on my trail bike. Quicker there, much lower profile. Super dry out there, so I was moving around a bit. The speed limit was right there on those tyres. But I think interesting results here. So I've got the split times from my Garmin. And on the lightweight bike, I was faster, almost 5 seconds faster than the full power bike, and it's actually equal. It's 3 seconds or almost 3 seconds on the first split, the flatter section, and then about the same on the lower as well, 2.5 on the lower, which there's less pedaling on the lower section. As it tips down the hill, you're probably over the speed limit anyway, and there's a couple of little 2 or 3 cranks out of corners, so the most of the pedaling happens at the top. But I think that's really interesting that this lightweight bike is almost 5 seconds faster. Obviously, it's shorter travel as well, so I felt like I was smashing through it pretty good. But I'd love to know why that's faster. Is it because of the speed limit and the lack of weight? I'm not 100% sure it's that. I feel like that SX motor is easier to pedal. When you get a motor, like I've done in the set, is you turn the spindle, turn the axle, there is obviously a lot of friction, a lot of resistance in there. And I don't necessarily think the speed limit is the problem. I would love to have a 20 mile per hour speed limit in the UK and Europe like they have in the US. So it's one limit for everybody. I think that little bit extra does make a big difference. But what I'd really like to see is that motors that disengage better over that limit. So even when you get to the limit, it feels like when you start pushing over, you get something out of it, because it can feel a bit frustrating on many motors, not just the Bosch CX, but when you're pedaling it and you're not getting anywhere. I would love for the engineers to find a way of it freewheeling or disengaging that motor over the limit, and then I think the weight wouldn't be an issue anyway. Yes, me and Steve maybe disagree a little bit on weight. I would still, I love the full power, I love the range. I would still like a lighter bike if possible. That is really reasonable, that 23 kilograms. I know I've ridden lots of bikes that weigh 3 kilograms plus more than that. And if I had to choose, I would like to have them a bit lighter, but I think it's probably a bit of the motor efficiency without the the electric assist over the limit, and a bit of the weight added up to those results. But I'd love to hear your comments, your opinions. Jump into the comments down below on if you feel faster on a lightweight bike, or how you think it adds up and what you'd like to see from e-bike motors in the future.